Okay. Today we're going to try to draw this cube as realistically as we can possibly here. And we're going to try to do create it in proportion, meaning that the size relationships are going to be as close as possible. So to do that, and this is when you draw realistically, this is something that you do. You're trying to figure out where on the page you want to put this object. And if you're trying to keep the entire object, which the goal for us today is to try to keep the entire object on the page, you want to think about like where your target area is going to be. So probably my cube needs to be about right there. I can go about that size maybe. Just made some scribbles that kind of look like a square, just enough to get kind of going here. And I want to make sure when I'm looking at this, I know I have to have this side, that side, I have to have a shadow, and I have to be able to fit the height and a little bit of the top. So the square, the little shape that I've created here probably is going to allow me to do that. Now, the next thing I need to do is, let's start with this center part. We want this lines that are vertical when they're on a cube are usually running parallel to the side, almost always. So what we're going to do is take our straight edge and we want to create a line giving space for this side, a line that we could use to build from. We're basically finding a known object. We're going to create a known object. So that line needs to be parallel to the sides. So I'm going to create a line like that. Let's say I've decided that my box is going to be that height. Okay? So if my box is that height, then I need to figure out, in connection to this, how far over is this line? Okay? So if I take my fingers, usually you have your hands instead of, some straight edges you have might not be a ruler. So I'm just gonna show you how to do it as though you just have a straight edge, not a ruler. So I'm gonna take this, there's my fingers like that, and I'm gonna put my top finger on the top, bottom on the bottom. You can also use your pencil tip if you want to get even more accurate. So now I've got the tip of the pencil up in this corner, and I am putting my fingers where the bottom goes. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to go like this. I need to figure out where this line starts over here. So I'd say from here to here is about, this from here to here is the same height as from there to there, but it doesn't go all the way. So I could maybe do this, and then over here I'm going to go from here to here and give myself where that would be, and give myself just a little mark. Now, it's not going to go all the way to there, is it? Because when we measured here, it went way past. So we've got to figure out how much from here to here actually would fit here. So if I go from there to there and grab and flip it upright, it's about like, this is a little less than a fourth of the height, this space that's left. And that's kind of what we're trying to find, is the space that's left. So from here to here, and then a fourth. So let's look. Here to here, what's about a fourth of that? I'd say it's about right there. Okay, so I'm just going to give myself a very light line. So if I have from there to there is that amount, which is like a little bit less than a fourth, I put that there, put my finger here so I can make a mark. From here to here is going to be the length in proportion to this of this space. Okay, so now that mark that we made, we're not putting it on this one. That mark that we made, we're going to make a parallel line. We want to make sure it's as parallel as possible to this line, and especially the side line too. And we're just going to make yourself a line. We'll figure out where it goes to later. And then we need a thing over here. Let's find out how far away that is. So from here to here Then I'm gonna go from the bottom up. It's a little over halfway. It's a little over halfway. So if I'm going here and I'm saying this is where my starting point is and this is where my starting point is, from here to here, a little over halfway would probably be about right there. Okay. Hold on one second, maybe a little bit less. It's a little over halfway. And then I take my fingers, put it here, put my finger here, make a mark, and now I need to make another line to represent this one, going up and down. And I want this line to be parallel to this one, parallel to that one, and parallel to the paper. So I'm just gonna make it, I don't know my height yet, I'm just getting a line in there that's parallel, okay? My next thing I wanna do is I need to see where this point is. So like if I'm looking at that point and I kind of give myself a little line down here, that way I can kind of see how far over that goes. So I want to measure it against my known. From here to that point, let's see, I'm going to put the tip there, put my fingers on that point, and I'm going to turn it, and it fits 1, 2, 3, 4 times down, so it's a fourth. So if this is half over here, from here to here is half. Half of half would be a fourth, so about that much. So I'm going to put my tip of my pencil there, put my fingers there, and then measure a fourth across, put my finger down, put a little mark. And then I'm gonna just get a little guideline up, just a real light one, straight up. I'm gonna need that later. So now I know where my point has to end up coming to. So now I'm gonna make sure that this paper is straight with this paper, and I'm gonna use the side of this edge and the side of that edge, like make sure they're parallel. Then I'm gonna take my pencil to measure an angle. I want to take my pencil and put it right there and see the angle. So now I've got the pencil on the angle of that line coming back. I'm going to pick that up, bring it over, slide it in, and I'm not done. I'm going to pick it in, go over here. I'm going to try the top version of it, pick it up, and I'm close, but I'm not quite right. Let me get it as close as possible. If you need to use your straight edge to make that line, you can. But now I've got the angle right. Now I'm going to double check my angle. This line should be the same angle as that one. It's off still. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it right. Probably there. That's pretty close. Let's see if that's it. Pretty close. Maybe down just or up just a touch. Right there is it. Okay, so now I've got that angle correct. Now I need to do this one, and I'm making sure this stays parallel to that one. Got that angle, I start at the bottom of it. I pick up that angle, bring it over. Look at it, knock it in. Oh, I do that same like double, triple check on it. It's pretty close, it's getting there. I curved it up at the end a little bit, I want to fix that. So you'll notice I probably have like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 wrong lines. Sometimes you have to do that to get to the right one. Okay, so now I've got that angle and this angle. Now I've got to get this back angle. So all I'm going to do is from this tip, measure that angle, over, knock it in. I don't know if that's right or not. That looks like it's too abrasive. That, it's close. It needs to come down just a little. So now we've got that to there. Remember, we're going to that point that we found a minute ago. And now we've got to do it on this one. So we're taking that angle from this corner, basically picking it up, putting it down, getting it to where it needs to go. Let me double check it, make sure all the angles are right. If something's not quite right, then that means the other angle that we just did is wrong. Something's off. Let me see if I can figure it out. Probably needs to come a little bit over a little bit more. Let's see if that's it. There it is. Now it matches up. Same thing on this back one. Now there's two lines. There's a cast shadow line, and then there's the line of the box. I'm gonna try to get the line of the box. I wanna be real specific. Line of the box, make sure that's parallel, make sure I didn't move it. Line of the box. Yikes, right there it is. Bringing it over, knocking it in, double check it here in a second. Trying to make it as straight as possible. I can also use my ruler once I get my angles the way I want them. I could get my ruler to get a little bit cleaner. Or if your hand's pretty straight, I just use my hand and kind of slide it. So there I've got that side of the box. Now let's see if we can get this side of the box. Takes me a minute to find it. It's gonna go back that way. Let's try that angle. Let me double check it, triple check it. I think it's off. Let's see if it's right. Nope, pretty close. I flipped up at the end, and my tendency is to flip up at the end. So if you know what your tendency is, you can fix that. Now there's another line here. That's so weird the way that shadow is. This line comes from the bottom of the box, and is, see if you see it. It's this. Double check it. That's like the cast shadow, so it might be a little fuzzier. And then I need to find where this horizon line is in this one. So about how far up is that? Well, if from here to here is there, this is halfway-ish. Yeah, that's about halfway. That's a little over a quarter of the way. So a little over the way would be about right there. And so now I need to make a line that's straight across. I want this line to be parallel to the bottom. Does that look about right? Now I'm looking at this too. Could go up a little higher, not much. Make sure it's parallel. Basically, it's going to be a 90-degree angle to these other lines of our box there. And I'm going to make that line there, make this line here, and then I've got my line for my horizon line in the back. Okay. Now I can figure out, because I couldn't figure out where this line was going to be. And this one kind of curves a little bit. It goes here and then kind of goes off. And my drawing probably stops about right here. And it stops over here, about right here. And then there are a few little guidelines popping out. There's one here, it's this, and there's one here and then it fades. So to get that right, you can also do that thing where you measure again. That's pretty close. Then this one's more straight than I had it. Now I need to erase this line. I need to erase this line. I need to erase this guideline. Need to erase that one. Need to erase this. Need to erase this. Any lines that are really, really dark, kind of scribbly, that are going to cause problems later when I shade, need to be erased. Kind of soften this a little bit. And this line over here, especially down here, can't be too dark. I had a little stray mark there, and I had a stray mark here. Okay, now we've got the contour line. So I just finished the contour. Okay, now we're getting ready to do the value. The plan is to create the value that we see here in this piece, different values of gray within this piece. So we're trying to match this to this. So the first thing I want to do is start to find and build up my gray tones. So back here,